One of the truly amazing things about this entire conflict, as I've said before, this is the most morally clear conflict of my lifetime. It is literally a terror group that ran a quasi-organized terror state that crossed a border and murdered people and took people hostage and is still holding Americans hostage. And somehow Joe Biden comes to the conclusion that this is an even-handed negotiation in which Israel must be stopped from destroying its enemy. And somehow this is going to make the Middle East more safe. Donald Trump, for his part, again, this is why Donald Trump needs to be reelected. This is why I have contributed to Donald Trump's campaign, among many other reasons. Obviously, I co-hosted an event for Trump long before this. But this is why. Here's what Donald Trump said, because he actually has a level of moral clarity. Joe Biden is a moral imbecile. Here is Donald Trump today. Quote, crooked Joe Biden, whether he knows it or not, just said he will withhold weapons from Israel as they fight to eradicate Hamas terrorists in Gaza. Hamas murdered thousands of innocent civilians, including babies, and are still holding Americans hostage if the hostages are still alive. Yet crooked Joe is taking the side of these terrorists, just like he has sided with the radical mobs taking over our college campuses, because his donors are funding them. Absolutely true. 100% true. And by the way, again, what Joe Biden is doing, I mentioned the political before. This is political malpractice, what he is doing right now. It turns out vastly more Americans are anti-Hamas than pro-Hamas. And those pro-Hamas people, they're not going to be satisfied with anything Joe Biden does. Republicans are responding as you would imagine they should. House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell sent a letter to Joe Biden expressing their alarm over the administration's decision to halt the weapons transfers. They say that the news flies in the face of assurances provided regarding the timely delivery of security assistance to Israel. They say we believe security assistance to Israel, Ukraine, and vulnerable partners in the Indo-Pacific should be expedited to the fullest extent possible. We have not been able to obtain pertinent information from the Department of State or Department of Defense regarding the ongoing review. Israel faces an existential and multi-front threat, as recently demonstrated by the direct attack by Iran and Iranian-backed terrorists. And daylight between the U.S. and Israel at this dangerous time risks emboldening Israel's enemies and undermining the trust that other allies and partners have in the United States. We ask that you provide relevant responses by the end of the week on the timing of this quote-unquote review, if any other shipments will be similarly paused, what office is responsible for conducting the review, and most importantly, when the review is anticipated to end, to allow this vital assistance to move forward. This is violation of law, what Joe Biden is doing right now. Donald Trump was impeached over this by Democrats. They said that his refusal to turn over allocated aid to Ukraine was an impeachable offense. Joe Biden is doing it openly for political purposes. And he's going to get away with it? This is pathetic stuff. We all spend way too much time on our phones. The scary part is your phone carrier is collecting data on whatever it is you are doing every day. Companies have admitted to it. They say it so they can better understand your interests, but really what they actually want to do is sell your activity to advertisers. Stuff like the sites you visited, what you've been up to online. The more they can get on you, the larger their paycheck becomes, which is why I use ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is an app that prevents your phone carrier from being able to see the sites you visit and sell it off to third parties. All it takes is one button tap. Your network data is encrypted and rerouted through ExpressVPN's secure servers for ultimate privacy. ExpressVPN shields your web browsing and protects all your network data so you can stay private even when you are using your favorite apps. Whether you're an iPhone, Android, or tablet user, ExpressVPN works on all your devices. The best part is one subscription can be used on up to 5 devices at the same exact time. Stop letting companies invade your privacy. Visit expressvpn.com/Ben Shapiro Show. Get the same VPN I use. Use my link, get 3 extra months free at expressvpn.com/Ben Shapiro Show. Again, that's expressvpn.com/Ben Shapiro Show. Expressvpn.com/Ben Shapiro Show to get started. Donald Trump continues to actually run a fairly well-calibrated campaign. So yesterday, for example, Donald Trump issued a statement regarding Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Obviously, she is an ally of Trump's, politically, sort of. She also happens to be a clown who wants to be in the news all the time. And Trump was very much in favor of MTG just generally, but not in favor of her latest clown move, which was a bizarre motion to vacate against the Speaker of the House. It failed dramatically, by the way. It failed overwhelmingly. So she brought the motion to vacate. Only 11 Republicans voted in favor of the motion to vacate, with virtually all Republicans voting against a motion to vacate. The vote to kill the effort was 359 to 43, with 7 voting present. Democrats joined in because it turns out that even Democrats don't like the Speaker of the House being able to be put on notice by like 2 members of his own party, which is effectively what Hakeem Jeffries is afraid of should he ever become Speaker of the House. So again, he didn't need to peel off 200 Democrats, but he did. Marjorie Taylor Greene failed. as she should have. And Donald Trump then issued the following statement, which is correct, because Donald Trump is running a campaign to win the presidency, as opposed to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's running a campaign to eventually be a mid-tier podcaster. Trump said, quote, "I absolutely love Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's got spirit. She's got fight. I believe she'll be around and on our side for a long time to come. However, right now, Republicans have to be fighting the radical left Democrats and all the damage they've done to the country. With a majority of 1, shortly growing to 3 or 4, we're not in a position of voting on a motion to vacate. At some point, we may very well be, but this is not the time. We are leading in the presidential polls by a lot, both nationally and in the swing states. Likewise, we are doing well in the Senate, and I believe we will do well in the House. But if we show disunity, which will be portrayed as chaos, it will negatively affect everything. Mike Johnson is a good man who is trying very hard. I also wish certain things were done over the last period of 2 months, but we'll get them done together. It's my request that Republicans vote for the motion to table. We will win big, and it will be soon." This is smart politics. Much smarter than anything MTG is attempting to do. Good for Donald Trump. Obviously, he is running, again, a much more disciplined campaign this time around, which is good. Johnson, for his part, said maybe we can get past all the frivolous character assassination and actually go about governing at some point here.
This is the end of the personality politics and the frivolous character assassination that has defined the 118th Congress.
Well, you would hope. Meanwhile, I don't know what it is about politicians making revelations that are completely unnecessary. So this has been the week of unwanted revelations. So we had Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, admitting in her book that she shot a dog, which, like, again, how did that pass through her eyes? And she thought, this is probably a good story to tell. This time when I shot a puppy in a gravel pit. That shows I'm tough, shooting a puppy in a gravel pit like that. So there was that. And that, of course, turned into a debacle. She had to cancel her book tour and all the rest of it. And then yesterday, we had the bizarre, unnecessary announcement by RFK Jr. that he literally had a brain worm. He told the New York Times that in 2010, he was experiencing memory loss and mental fogginess so severe, a friend grew concerned he might have a brain tumor. Kennedy said he consulted several of the country's top neurologists, many of whom had either treated or spoken to his uncle, Ted Kennedy. Several doctors noticed a dark spot on the younger Mr. Kennedy's brain scans and concluded he had a tumor. He was immediately scheduled for a procedure at Duke University Medical Center. And then, apparently, he received a call from a doctor who had a different opinion, that he had a dead parasite in his head. The doctor believed the abnormality seen on his scans was, quote, caused by a worm that got into my brain and ate a portion of it and then died. Why was that necessary? Like, why? It's that, like, what would make you do that? Why would you say that? In an interview at the Times, he said he'd recovered from the memory loss and the fogginess and had no after effects from the parasite, which he said had not required treatment. Asked last week if any of Kennedy's health issues could compromise his fitness for the presidency, his spokeswoman said to the Times, quote, "That's a hilarious suggestion given the competition." Well, I mean, that's true. That at least is very much true. So again, unnecessary, like why you would talk about brain worms is beyond me. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.